So forward folds are actually one of the most advanced and most challenging categories of asana for Westerners, because most of the time the thigh bones are moving forward and we have to get the thigh bones to move back and root down in forward folds. Now, a lot of times when beginning to practice, you're going to need to sit up on a blanket in a forward fold, especially when you're sitting, if you're sitting like this, and the low back's rounding. You want to get the sacrum to move up and in, and if that's really hard when you're sitting, then you can sit up on a blanket, and I recommend a blanket over a block, and that will make getting the spine up and in a lot easier. Regardless of whether you're sitting on a blanket or a block or on the floor, you want to turn the inner thigh in and pick the fleshy part of the sit bone up, right? So now you're more grounded on this sitting bone and your pelvic floor is open, just like in our hip openers, right? So all of this stuff just builds on one another. So do the second side. Now the other thing you really want to happen in your forward folds is your thigh bones to root down. That's your primary focus in your forward folds, or the thigh bones need to root down. So I'll often take my hands and just really encourage the thigh bone to move down. And you can feel that side versus this side. Sometimes even in forward folds, people will be efforting so much that they'll start to lift the thigh bones up, and that is not good for your low back, right? So you only want the thigh bones moving down, and you have to have a curve in your low back to get that. Now the first stage of forward folds are always where the spine is perpendicular to the legs. So this is the first stage of any and all forward folds. Now when you forward fold, when you go to the second stage, which is your forward fold, and the spine does round, but it rounds more in a curve, not like a C, right? So that's the second stage, is that the spine does round, but more like a rainbow, like an arc, not like a C, right? Find yourself doing something like this in a forward fold. This is actually a better place to be. This is better alignment, and it sets you up, it prepares you to forward fold. This doesn't really take you anywhere. Always think of the spine, you want space in between each and every vertebrae. Another good posture to feel this is Upavista Konasana, which is the wide-legged. And it's similar to Paschimottanasana. You want to move the flesh off the sitting bones, root your thigh bones down, and then first phase is sitting up tall. First phase is the spine is perpendicular to the floor and to your thighs. Second stage, you don't round forward like a C, you arc forward. And you can often imagine like your chest is going to touch down before your head. And eventually your head can move down, but you don't want it to move down first, right? So that's the difference here versus a long spine all the way down. Now in Janu Shirshasana, so if you brought this foot in, it's the same thing, except now we got a lot going on. So again, the thigh bone down, sitting bones back and apart. First stage is the perpendicular spine. Second stage, you want to turn the belly over the front thigh, bow forward, again, not like a C, more like a rainbow, more like an arc. And that's the traditional alignment for all forward folds. Remember that if you find yourself really curving forward, that you're in a better place, you're going to feel better, your body's going to open up faster by sitting with a perpendicular long spine and really working to get the curve in your low back. And if as soon as you're sitting down, you notice that this is happening, the low back's pushing out, sit up on a blanket to draw the low back up and in. Or if the knees are really high, sit up on a blanket to let the knees fall down and your hip flexors soften. So So those will take you deeper into your forward folds. They're a great practice to do in the evening or when you're needing some introspection.